Greetings, everybody, and welcome back to episode 50 of Extreme Evocast, an all-purpose Pokemon podcast where we talk about news, trivia, and everything related to Pokemon. I hope you've all been having an amazing day, and I want to apologize, as I tend to do in the beginning of every episode for some reason or another. But if you're following Evocast and you're listening to every episode that the day they come out, or whenever, you might notice that this episode's a little bit late. I have been busy with school, and then I was going, because it's Thursday night. And if you follow this podcast, you know that episodes usually come out Wednesday afternoon, like Wednesday at noon. So I'm very, very late with this episode of Evocast. But, it happens sometimes. It's okay. I'm not going to, as long as I get the episode out is sort of my reasoning behind it. And the reason is because, I've been busy with school just started, and then also I was going to record it last night, but I had a friend who it was their birthday, and, I was done doing stuff for the day, and I was like, okay, I'm going to record, and then immediately I get a message like, hey, do you want to play this game with me, on my birthday? And I was like, yeah, I should, after all, relationships and friends always come before, sort of personal things that I don't necessarily have to do. I hope you can understand that, as well as school also takes out priority. So this episode is coming in a little bit late. But, if you're just listening in any time in the future, then this doesn't really affect you. And I do want to say, this episode is special, obviously by the number, episode 50. A big milestone in terms of numbers and episodes. Been doing this for a long time, but it's not necessarily as big as you might think it is. Just because of the way that I do this podcast, the way that I sort of release episodes, you might remember due to the way that I do it, episode 51 is actually the episode that is going to be celebrated very much. And, you might be thinking, why? Well, yes, 50 is a big number, but I would rather do it based on date, because next episode on the 17th of February is the 2-year anniversary of Evocast. I last uploaded an episode of, first uploaded an episode of Evocast on February 20th, 2019. So it means I've been doing this podcast for 2 years, but that means that I've been doing it for 2 years next episode. So as much as I would like to celebrate now, because of the fact that, sometimes I might miss a number, sometimes I might do, I might literally just not be able to record for a while, due to, some circumstances, and I might have to delay episodes. It hasn't happened yet, thankfully. Well, kind of. It hasn't happened to the point where I just totally outright skip one. If I do miss one, I usually just condense it into 2 episodes, or I condense it all into one episode, sort of like, 42 and 43. That wasn't one of them, but as an example. So because of that, I would much rather do it just based on year. Based on date. So because of that, next episode is going to be the big one. Not to say this episode isn't kind of big. I did actually have something very cool and interesting that I'm excited to talk about today. But it's not going to be nearly as much of a celebration as next episode. That being said, I would like to thank everybody who's listening to this right now. Even if this is the first episode you've listened to, or if you've listened to every single episode beforehand, thank you so much for listening to this podcast and supporting this podcast. I've been doing this for a long, long time. Sort of just on the back burner. It's sort of become a routine of mine, and I am enjoying it very, very much. And I'm excited to do 100, 150, 200 episodes, 4 years, who knows? I don't know how long I'll be doing this for, but hopefully I'll be doing it for a long time. And, here's to 50 more episodes. But seriously, thank you so much if you've been listening this long, or like I said, if you're just starting now. I really appreciate the support. 50 episodes is a lot of episodes. I'm sort of realizing this now. It's even actually been, I think, more than 50. The count is probably up to like, I don't even know, probably like 54, 56, because I've done half episodes, but like still, thank you so much for being there. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for your support. Anyway, enough talk about numbers. Let's get on to the news for today. Sort of as this dry spell of updates and new things coming out tends to show, we haven't really gotten anything new in terms of Pokemon content recently, other than the upcoming release of new Pokemon Snap, and the 25th anniversary, which is coming actually pretty soon. I already forget which date it is, exactly, but it's sometime soon. We don't really have that much to talk about in terms of news. Nothing really new is happening. So because of that, I'm just going to sort of go through the speed round of the updates for their respective games, the big four that we sort of talk about every time. There's not really much going on. Pokemon Cafe Mix, first of all, has an astounding one thing to talk about, and that the Snorlax event will repeat on February 10th. That is literally the only thing that I could really find to talk about for Pokemon Cafe Mix. Moving on, Pokemon Sword and Shield has a little bit of things going on. There is Series 8, the rule set for Series 8 in the Pokemon battling, rule set. Rule set runs from February 1st, 2021. Features a slight change in the current rules. You'll be able to use one of the normally restricted legendary Pokemon. Mewtwo, I'm not going to go through all these, but legendary Pokemon, you can go on Cerebi.net to see the big list. Of course, like I always do, I get a lot of my information from Cerebi. A lot of legendaries are allowed, one of which is allowed on your team. And then mythical Pokemon are still banned. Other standard rules apply for both doubles and singles. And last for Sword and Shield is just some more wild area news, some new shifting Pokemon. There are various flying and fighting and psychic Pokemon. Not flying. Ignore me. Fighting and psychic Pokemon are being added to the wild area, and Gigantamax Machamp and Gigantamax Orbeetle are more common. The event runs until February 28th. For Pokemon Masters EX, there are some new sync pairs, including Mallow and Serena. There is a Valentine's Day event where you can get some new sync pairs. Let me find that. It adds Serena and Whimsicott and Dawn and Alcremie. Dawn has got an absolutely adorable cooking apron and like a French beret. So cute. And that runs from Friday, January 29th through February 19th. So that's happening right now. And finally, last sync pair sort of coming up in Masters EX is Lillie. Me, I'm in the game now. No, Lillie from Sun and Moon. And Clefairy. And that also runs until February 19th. And finally, Pokemon Go, the big one, the one that always gets the most spotlight. There are some more Shadow Pokemon coming. Swinub, Nosepass, Aeron, Spheal, Lileep, Anorith, and more. More spawns of Pokemon like Golbat, Coughing, Coalfish, Sneasel, blah, blah, blah. And finally, there is a big event happening for Pokemon Go coming pretty soon, the Lunar New Year. It'll have Pokemon. It runs from February 9th to February 14th. It has increased spawns of Krabby, Goldeen, Magmar, Magikarp, Miltank, Meditite, Tepig, and more, including Gyarados, which has a chance to be shiny. Bunch more Pokemon in 5cam eggs, bunch more raids of Mega Pidgeot and Mega Ampharos, bunch of new Pokemon coming, or, Pokemon appearing more frequently in Pokemon Go, but it's for Lunar New Year, which is exciting, which is sort of the theme for a lot of these updates. There's a lot of Lunar New Year themed things going on, right now, and I believe Cafe Mix as well as Pokemon Go, and just in general, it's a big, exciting event, and I'm looking forward to it. And finally, before we end off the news for today, there is a event or a thing happening on the Pokemon. The Pokemon Company International is running a weekly web series teaching tips and strategies for the Pokemon TCG, including introducing players to new decks, how to create decks, and how to develop strategies and more. This series is starting on February 4th, already going on, for me at least, and on YouTube and Twitch, and will run every Thursday. So I think it's actually already started, and something that I am actually probably going to take part in, because I have been learning the Pokemon TCG recently, as well as a bunch of other card games, sort of dipping my toes into the card game world. God, there's so many. I bought a Magic starter deck, as well as I started playing Pokemon TCG. Very exciting. So yeah, I might actually take part in that. And that does it for the news today. I know it's a little bit grindy. I'm sorry. It's a little bit just like spewing off a bunch of information, but I have to talk about something. I do enjoy kind of just giving a little bit of news in the beginning of every episode, even if it's kind of nonsensical and doesn't really hold up, if you're sort of listening to this other than like right now. But hopefully it's not too much for you to bear. I try to keep it short. I try to keep it sort of very fast-paced. It's a lot of information, but again, if I didn't, it would drag on for hours. Moving on, before we get to the main topic of today, we of course have to do everybody's favorite segment, where we talk about a random Pokemon every episode. Random Pokemon of the week. This Pokemon on the chopping block today is number 692. Can you guess which one this is? I'll give you a second. It's Clauncher. Clauncher is a water-type Pokemon introduced in Generation 6. It evolves into Clauncher starting at level 37. Clauncher is the Water Gun Pokemon. It has the ability Mega Launcher. That's it. It has a 50-50 male-female ratio. It is 1'8", 0.5 meters, and 18.3 pounds or 8.3 kilograms. Clauncher, and more specifically Clawser, to me are very interesting Pokemon because I really enjoy them. I really, really like their design. I think they're very cool looking Pokemon, especially Clawser. Clawser is actually one of the coolest Pokemon design-wise. I really, really like how it's, it's based on those crustaceans who have one gigantic claw and one that's kind of small. Clauncher, again, also kind of has the same thing going on, but he's sort of just a baby version of Clawser, as pre-evolutions tend to go. Man, I kind of wish we were talking about Clawser today. But RNGesus prevails with giving me the boring pre-evolution. Not that he's boring. He's just less interesting than his evolution, but we can still talk about him. In Pokemon X and Y, it says they knock down flying prey by firing compressed water from their massive claws like shooting a pistol. Through controlled expulsions of internal gas, it can expel water like a pistol shot. At close distances, it can shatter rock. And, there's actually some interesting things, something that doesn't tend to happen in terms of Pokedex entries. Usually if it's in X and Y or Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, they kind of just never change it after that. It's sort of just that's the Pokedex entry. It's modern enough where they're okay, that's fine. But in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, we actually get some brand new information. Its claws occasionally fall off, and it keeps a low profile until they grow back. The meat of its claws is so delicious. It moves around by jetting water from its right pincer. It has a poor sense of balance, so it's terrible at swimming straight. It makes sense. I mean, absolutely massive claw. And finally, by detonating gas that accumulates in its right claws, this Pokemon launches water like a bullet. This is how Clauncher defeats its enemies. I imagine it's kind of like cracking your knuckles. I'll do it right now. It's not, you're not actually breaking anything. You're sort of just expelling the gas that gets trapped between your joints. I assume that's maybe how it works, something like that. Just kind of gas that accumulates over time in its body, just pulls up in this massive claw, and then it can just, shoot it out like a pistol. That's crazy. Clauncher is interesting to me because, especially Clauncher and Clauncher, very hard names to say, are interesting to me because, I never remember them. I always forget they exist, and every time I am reminded of them, whether it's in in Pixelmon, I see them a lot because they spawn on beaches quite a lot, and then you don't really see them anywhere else other than in the main series games. When was the last time you saw somebody using a Clauncher or a Clawitzer, even in competitive Pokemon, or even talked about these Pokemon? So seeing them again is always just a nice little treat because I really, really enjoy them, and sort of every time I see them, I get a new appreciation for them, and they sort of symbolize, for me at least, those Pokemon that you just kind of forgot existed, and then you remember them and you're like, this is a cool Pokemon. It's a really, really cool Pokemon. Yeah, it's slowly starting to go up there, and my highest liked water type Pokemon, because they're pretty darn cool, and it's kind of a shame that they're so forgotten. Let's see if there's any trivia to talk about. There is literally none. Trivia section is just completely blank. And I guess with that, let's talk about its shiny form, which I am so excited to talk about this today. I sort of already know. I try not to sort of think about a rating beforehand. If I'm kind of talking about thinking about a Pokemon for a random Pokemon of the week, because I usually generate them pretty early, so I can let the thought brew a little bit about this Pokemon. But I try not to really give it a rating until I look at it enough. But I've seen this shiny enough. This shiny is so cool. I know exactly what I'm gonna give it. It's everything changes on this Pokemon. The blue becomes this bright crimson red. The yellow eyes become the blue of its skin. And then the black sort of, bands it has going around its body turn white. And red and white is already such a cool color combination. And especially with the blue of the insides of its eyes and the inside of its claw. It's such a good shiny, and I already know what I'm going to give this thing. It's a 9 out of 10. This is almost a perfect shiny. I think that spot, I think the 10 out of 10 might be, well, I don't remember if we've had a 10 out of 10 yet, but Clawitzer might actually fill that role as a 10 out of 10. I'll have to look at it some more, but I remember that Clawitzer shiny is one of my favorites, and I'm very excited to talk about Clawitzer if we ever do get him. But until then, Clauncher, he has gotten himself a almost perfect 9 out of 10 for shiny rating. Very, very cool. So, moving on to today's topic. I'm very excited to talk about this because I kind of did this just on my own time one day with some friends in my Discord server. If you're interested in joining my Discord server, by the way, you can find it on my Twitter, twitter.com/Lillieceon. And I did this sort of just casually with friends because we were talking about Pokemon games and which ones are our favorite. And I decided, I was like, you know what, just to make it easier for myself to sort of tell people what my favorite Pokemon games are in the future, I'm going to make a top 10 list. Or a top 5 list. And then that sort of came up to, when I was making them, I was like, I couldn't decide which ones were my top 10. And then I was like, I'm going to do top 5, then I'm going to do top 10. And then I just decided to rate every single one that I've played. So that is what we're doing today. I'm going to talk about, again, indulging you in my opinions. This is all about me today. You have to listen to my opinions, which I'm joking, obviously, but I will remind you, they are opinions. I want to sort of make this clear. If you disagree with any of these, that's perfectly fine. I'm not making a definitive list of what Pokemon games are the best and which ones are the worst. I'm simply telling you, my lovely listeners, what I think are the best Pokemon games, or not necessarily the best. This is not based on quality. This is my favorites. Obviously, there are some of them that I think are better than others quality-wise, but I'm doing this based on what I think of them and my favorites. This is essentially like me ranking Pokemon games in terms of how much I enjoy them from best to worst. Or you know what? Actually, I think I will go worst to best instead. Just to keep the top 5, keep the number 1 spot kind of obscured for the time being until we get up there. As top 10 lists tend to do, start at the bottom. A little bit of a controversial one, actually. I think that this one might actually come at a huge surprise. Listen, okay. Yes, my bottom spot for the Pokemon games that I enjoyed the least is Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow. I'm sort of grouping them up by games, by the way. Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow. I never grew up with Red, Blue, and Yellow. I have played other incarnations of Kanto, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, Fire Red and Leaf Green, and I never grew up with them. I never grew up with the original games, which is why Gold and Silver, the original Gold and Silver, and Crystal, I assume. I forgot to put Crystal on there. Gold, Silver, Crystal are my second least favorite Pokemon games. Just because, obviously, I'm not saying they're bad. They are the sort of incarnations of their generations that I have played the least, and that I didn't grow up with them. I started with Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald. I have played Gold and Silver. I have played Red, Blue, Yellow. I think they're amazing games. I had awesome times with them, but I didn't enjoy them very much. I didn't enjoy them as much as other Pokemon games. Trust me, I enjoyed pretty much every single Pokemon games that I played. This is just, the reasoning behind this is not because they're sort of outliers, I think, on the bottom tier, just because I didn't grow up with them. I only played them once through, I know Kanto already. I've watched so many things, so many videos about Red, Blue, and Yellow. I've watched speedruns. I've watched entire playthroughs of the games before I played them. And, it was just sort of, okay. I kind of just played them to play them. I already played Fire Red, Leaf Green. I already played Heart Gold, Soul Silver. I sort of knew what to expect already, which is why they are there. Next, the 31st spot. That was 33rd and 32nd. This is the 31st spot. We're not gonna go super slow with this. This is gonna go pretty quickly. Is unfortunately Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon. I never beat Super Mystery Dungeon, so I don't really know how qualified I am to say that I enjoy how much I enjoyed it or not. But I did not enjoy it I didn't enjoy it as much compared to pretty much every other Mystery Dungeon game that I've played. I think it is the worst one in the series. It's still fine. It's a fine game for what it's worth, but I definitely think that it's not as strong as the other ones. By the way, I want to say, this is every Pokemon game that I've played. This is including, spin-offs, sort of games on their own, multiplayer games, mobile apps, things like that, games like that. They're not necessarily just main series games. I also realized that I didn't put Pokemon Go on here, and I think that Pokemon Go is kind of an outlier, and I'm not going to include it, but there are other games on here, for example, Pokemon Duel. Some people don't even know what that game is. It was a mobile app, and it's pretty decently high on this list. I really enjoyed it, but we'll get there in a second. Number 30 on my list is Pokemon Pinball. The original Pokemon Pinball. The Pokemon Pinball for the Game Boy. It's fine. It's sort of it's a good game. I grew up with the Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald version of Pokemon Pinball, so nothing really to say there. It's just sort of there to be there. I enjoyed it, but I can't really make my case very much. Next up is Pokemon Rumble, which is the Rumble games are very, very fun. I have played a lot. I did play a lot of the original Rumble, but it was kind of just forgotten in my sort of way, in my way of thinking. It was a good game. Don't get me wrong, but comparatively to other Pokemon games, I definitely would not put it as high. And to nobody's surprise, Pokemon Pinball Ruby Sapphire Emerald, it's a pinball game. It's not that the games are bad. It's just these sort of smaller games are not. They can't be compared to the main series games or some of the better spin-offs, just because they're sort of just little games. They're not really in their own group. I almost feel bad putting them on here because of course they're going to be lower, but it has to be done. I said I'd rank every single one, but unfortunately they're sort of in the bottom. Next up might be a little bit of a controversial one. 27 is Pokemon Ranger Shadows of Almia. And I enjoyed some of the Pokemon Ranger games. The Ranger games are Shadow of Almia is the only one that I've played. But I have seen quite a lot of the other ones, and I didn't really like the Ranger games as a kid. I'm thinking of going back and replaying them because, I've heard, it was just sort of little me didn't really understand how, it didn't like the more complex story. I just wanted to catch Pokemon, man. I just wanted to circle my stylus around Pokemon and catch them. So it wasn't really a good time for me as a kid. This being so low, it's a little bit unfair because, like I said, I haven't played it in a long time. But maybe one of these days I'll go back and revisit it. I'll play through all the Ranger games. But for now, little Lillie didn't really enjoy Pokemon Ranger Shadows of Omnia very much. I hate to say it. Number 26 is Rumble Blast. Rumble Blast is, sort of just like Rumble. It's a good game. It was just, a little bit forgettable. But all things considered, it was fun. I had a good time with it when I played it, but not good enough to be higher up on this list. Not nearly as rememberable to be higher up on this list. Pokken Tournament DX is number 25. And I never really played a lot of these games, or a lot of this game, Pokken Tournament. I've never played a fighting game before I picked up Dragon Ball FighterZ a few weeks ago, or a few months ago. I've been playing it pretty actively ever since. So, I had a good time with Pokken Tournament. I didn't really play it that much, which, might be a little bit of a reason for it to not be on here. I promise that this list kind of picks up a little bit more and gets into the more relevant games. But for now, I played it, and I played a few online matches. I learned the tutorials. I learned some of the characters. I think that's enough for me to put it there. And, I'm not really a huge fighting game person. I play a lot of Smash, but fighting games are not really my sort of thing, though I have been slowly sort of trickling into them as time goes on. I don't really enjoy them very much. And because of that, Pokken Tournament, despite being a very beautiful game, is not very high on this list. Number 24 is Hey You Pikachu. And I played this game as a kid, and I absolutely loved it. I had the best time with this game, but it's just sort of comparatively. A lot of the ones after this are the main series games, a lot of the very, very good spin-offs. There's a lot of main series games to sort of put up here, so it was hard. It being this high above, all of those other games like Super Mystery Dungeon, Pokemon Rumble is actually saying something. I've really, really enjoyed Hey You Pikachu, and I think that it's a really fun game, and I want to replay it. As clunky and horrible voice recognition as it is, It deserves a spot at 24, which, again, seems low, but comparatively is not super bad. First main series game takes a spot at number 23, Black 2, White 2. And sort of the same reason, I'm being a lot more positive with these rankings. It's not like Black 2 White 2 sucks. I love every Pokemon game. There is no Pokemon game that I can really say that I did not enjoy. But like Black 2 White 2, I, believe it or not, fell out of Pokemon around when Black and White came out. So like I have fond memories of Diamond and Pearl. I have extremely fond memories of Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald. And I have really fond memories of Heart Gold, Soul Silver. But then when Black and White came out, I sort of fell away. And I never really played Black and White or Black 2 White 2 as a kid. I actually picked it up later, which is the only Pokemon game that I sort of didn't play at the time of release, or the main series ones, other than the very first ones. I wasn't even born when they came out, so can you blame me? And Black 2 White 2, I think like Black and White is much higher on this list, 10 entire ranks actually, but like Black 2 White 2 just sort of stuck with me the least compared to Black and White, mostly because I didn't really get into them when I was in my prime. Black 2 White 2 kind of just fell away from my radar much more so than Black and White after I replayed them many years later, or when I played them for the first time many years later, after X and Y, and I just enjoyed Black and White more than I did Black 2 White 2, is all I'm really trying to say here. But, similarly, Black and White will get a similar response, but Black and White sort of is just more of a classic, and I think is more of a staple compared to Black 2 White 2. Speak of the devil, number 22 is Pokemon X and Y, and this is one of the only ranks on this list that I'm going to attribute to quality, because I do not think that X and Y is a very good game. I think it's fine. Obviously, it's a good Pokemon game, but I think it's the worst main series Pokemon game. And it didn't affect my liking of the game. It didn't affect how much I enjoyed the game. But it does naturally fall there. Sort of in terms of how much I enjoyed it. But the quality, I think, is definitely a big part of it. I think that if it was better of a game, I would certainly have enjoyed it more, I think. But sort of both things comparatively, X and Y is the only game really that sticks out to me in terms of like really looking at its flaws and really assessing how much I enjoyed it because of those flaws. But still, X and Y is a huge part of my childhood, huge part of my late childhood, or I guess my teenage years. So that being said, despite this whole spiel I just went on about how it's probably the worst main series game, I still really enjoyed it. Still one of my favorite games. It being this low is more attributed to just how much I enjoyed it. But again, its quality does bump it a little bit lower than I would like to admit. Number 22 is Pokemon Duel, and this is sort of the last of the weird, obscure ones, I promise. Pokemon Duel is, it was fun. I actually enjoyed Pokemon Duel a lot more than I expected to, and sort of, if I had to reevaluate this list, I would definitely put Pokemon Duel below X and Y and Black 2 White 2, but this is sort of, this was me like a few months ago, and, so take it with a grain of salt. Maybe those three are a little bit mixed matchy. You could probably put Pokemon Duel at number 23, and then bump all the ones after it up one. But that being said, Pokemon Duel, very, very fun game, very fun mobile game. I poured in too much money into that game, and I think that says something about how much I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed fighting people online, really enjoyed making little, I forget what they're called, but unfortunately that game is no longer in service. They sort of just closed down that game randomly for no reason, unfortunately, but still, number 21, Pokemon Duel. Number 20, getting into the top 20 here. This will go a little quicker, I think. Pokemon Sword and Shield Isle of Armor. I am separating the DLCs into their own list, and I think the Isle of Armor goes here, because while it is good, I definitely didn't enjoy it as much as the base game or the Crown Tundra. And actually, as you'll see, I actually enjoyed it less than a few other of the actual main series games. And I don't really consider... I kind of consider the three of them to be all together, but I think that they're different enough, and they are sort of their own thing enough where I can feel comfortable separating them a little bit. Obviously, again, it's not a full game, but neither is some of the games like Pokemon, Pinball. It's not a full main series game. I'm sort of just taking them at face value, how much I enjoyed them. It's weird because, like, if you ask me to pick between Pokemon X and Y and Pokemon Isle of Armor to play through, obviously I think I'm going to choose X and Y because it's a full game. But I didn't feel comfortable just putting Sword and Shield in its own spot with all of the DLCs in mind. So I am going to separate them, and Isle of Armor takes number 20. Number 19, and I guess number 18, sort of at the same time, is Pokemon Sun and Moon and Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Sun and Moon comes before Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. I enjoyed Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon a little bit more than Sun and Moon. It had a little bit more content, a little bit more things to do after the fact. It was essentially the same game, but with like extra Pokemon. So like, how can I not make that better than Sun and Moon? But overall, Generation 7, very solid. And then after this, number 17 comes the Crown Tundra. I enjoyed the Crown Tundra much more than I did the Isle of Armor, and I suppose Sun and Moon. But again, like I said, if you asked me to if what I wanted to play through again, the Crown Tundra or Sun and Moon, I would probably choose Sun and Moon because it's a full game. But the Crown Tundra, very, very solid, good DLC. I think better than the Isle of Armor. I think just in story structure and kind of just feel. The Isle of Armor had some fun stuff, but it was a little grindy at some points. The Crown Tundra sort of let you explore a little bit more. I think that the Crown Tundra was a little bit more solid than the Isle of Armor. And after that is actually the Sword and Shield base game. Just Pokemon Sword and Shield, no DLC, no Crown Tundra, no Isle of Armor, surprisingly low, if I'm being honest with you. Pretty much every other main series game that I haven't talked about yet comes after Sword and Shield base game. And I think that, there's things to be said about the quality of modern Pokemon games, but all things considered, I did enjoy Sword and Shield. And I do think that this is a very good spot for it. It's not my favorite by any means, but it is certainly not bad, and it is certainly not my least favorite. So I think that 16, almost exactly in the middle. It's perfectly average comparatively to almost every other Pokemon game out there. I think Sword and Shield is in the middle by all things considered. Number 15 is Burger King foot lettuce. No, 15 is Pokemon Battle Revolution. Pokemon Battle Revolution has a huge... These upcoming games are going to be games that mean a lot to me. Sort of as things go up in the ranks, you'll sort of see a theme of games that mean a lot to me, are sort of hugely ingrained in my childhood, very, very sentimental games for me. And the reason why they're so high is because of that. But Battle Revolution is one of those. Battle Revolution is a huge game for me. Top 15, I think all of these games are very, very special in my heart, as with a lot of other Pokemon fans. Battle Revolution in general is just very, very... I have so many fond memories of playing Battle Revolution with my friends. The announcer, the animations, they're so good. But obviously, it's hard to rank Battle Revolution up where it is, up higher, because it's not really a full Pokemon game. It's sort of just like Stadium, where it's not, it's just sort of a catalyst for battling Pokemon with cooler animations and stuff. So it's kind of difficult to rank it any higher than it is. But all things considered, Battle Revolution, amazing game. I loved it. Has a huge spot in my heart. So number 15 is where it goes. Number 14 is Fire Red Leaf Green. Fire Red Leaf Green is okay. I think that it being on the lower end of my my favorite games of my favorite main series Pokemon games is a good fit for it, because it sort of has the same sentimental value as Ruby Sapphire does, because I played through them at pretty much at the same time, because they came out at the same time. But and Fire Red Leaf Green was actually my first involvement into Kanto, but because of that, I don't know. I don't think they're as good as Ruby Sapphire Emerald, obviously, but I don't think that they're bad. The only reason that I think that they're as high as they are is because of the sentimental value they hold in my heart. But they're fine. Fire Red Leaf Green are sort of hanging on a thread there. I might move it down if I ever decide to revise this list. But for now, number 14 is where they stand. Number 13 is Black and White. I sort of alluded to this with Black 2, White 2, and exactly the same thing as Black 2, White 2. I fell out of Pokemon. I, didn't play Black and White or Black 2, White 2 when they first came out. I sort of revisited them later, and, Black and White are pretty solid games, but they just don't have that sentimental value. Sort of the complete opposite of Fire Red Leaf Green. Fire Red Leaf Green, not really that good in my opinion, but sentimental value was why they're so high. Black and White, they don't have pretty much any sentimental value because I played them so late in my life. And well, that's, I still love them. They're so good. I don't have nostalgia for them necessarily. I have a little bit, but not nearly as much as any of these other games. But I can't possibly rate them any lower than this because they are fantastic additions to the Pokemon franchise. Number 12 is Heart Gold, Soul Silver. Like I said, this was my first showing into Johto, sort of in the same time frame as Diamond Pearl. Pretty sure Heart Gold Soul Silver was my last Pokemon games before I fell out, and then I played X and Y some years later. But Heart Gold Soul Silver, fantastic. Has sentimental value, sort of on that range in between, right before I got out of Pokemon for a couple of years. So they still hold that nostalgia. I remember distinct memories of playing Heart Gold Soul Silver. We were in a house we just moved into, one of my childhood homes, and there was no furniture, and we literally just moved in that day, and Heart Gold Soul Silver came out, and I bought it on the way home from moving. Like, my dad went to get bring the moving truck to the house, and me and my mom went to GameStop and bought Heart Gold Soul Silver because she was, I guess, gifting me because she felt bad about moving again. Maybe, I'm not really sure exactly why, but we decided to get it then, and I laid on the floor in my no furniture room, literally just like a mattress in that room, because we just moved in, and played Heart Gold Soul Silver. I guess it was Heart Gold for hours on end. So I have some very fond memories of Heart Gold Soul Silver. Very, very solid additions to the franchise, and number 12 is where they stand. Number 11, and I suppose number 10 as well, Mystery Dungeon, Red and Blue, and Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX. This might be a little controversial, but I enjoyed Rescue Team DX more than I did Red and Blue Rescue Team. Just because I have fond memories of playing Red Rescue Team when I was younger. There's the nostalgia factor, but I forgot everything about it until I played Rescue Team DX. And I suppose Rescue Team DX is kind of the reason why Red and Blue is so high. It's like I sort of like if Rescue Team DX was not a thing, I certainly would still have rated Red and Blue higher, or on as high as it is. But it might have been a little lower just because I hadn't played it in a long time, and Rescue Team DX is sort of the revival of Red Rescue Team for me. And also, I think it's a little higher than just Red Blue Rescue Team because I played it on stream. I have some very, very fond memories of doing it on stream. I have my, Lil Nut, my Cubone, and my Pikachu. I have them in my computer, the Funko Pops of Pikachu and Cubone, because of Rescue Team DX. And I think that really goes to show how much I enjoyed this game. Number 9, getting into the top 10. Top 10, first one is Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX. Number 9, Pokemon Quest. And I know that is insane, probably, but I actually adore Pokemon Quest. I think I've talked about this before, and I swear to God, I'm going to do an entire episode on Pokemon Quest. So I'll save it for then. I'm not going to gush about it too much now, but Pokemon Quest is genuinely one of my favorite Pokemon games. My 9th favorite Pokemon game, in fact. I don't know what it is. I really, really like this game. I'll have to check how many hours I have exactly. You know what? I have my Switch right here. I think I have Smash Ultimate open. Hold on. Yep. Hold on. Let me go to my profile. Let me see how long I played Pokemon Quest for. I have 200 hours in Animal Crossing. Jesus. Almost 600 in Smash Ultimate. Pokemon Quest, I have... It's not here. Where is it? Really? It's not here? How come it's not here? How do I see how long I've played in a game? You can change who can see your play activity. I want to see how long hold on. Maybe if I open Pokemon Quest and then go back, it'll be there. This is convoluted. I'll just look later. But it's probably a long time. I did a lot of shiny hunting in that game. And I really, really, really enjoyed it. And to this day, I am still looking for the sequel or more DLC to Pokemon Quest to include more than just Kanto. God, please. I really, really enjoy Pokemon Quest, and I will defend it with my life about how this game is very, very good and holds a very, very strong place in my heart. Number 8 is Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Time and Darkness. Sort of in the same vein as Red Rescue Team, Blue Rescue Team. I played Time and Darkness, a little later in life, around the time where they came out, around Diamond and Pearl, and there's not really much else to say other than just I absolutely adore this game. The Time and Darkness are so good. I think they're better than the originals. I think that they are like a perfect sequel, all things considered. The story is amazing. Definitely my favorites, and in my opinion, the best Mystery Dungeon game out there. No question, at least for me. It was not hard to put it this high up. I think 8 is a perfect spot for it. It's so good. Number 7 is Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. My love for Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire comes solely from the fact that Ruby Sapphire Emerald are my favorite games. Sorry to spoil the number 1 spot for you, but to nobody's surprise. But Oras being number 7 is fine, I think. It's definitely not up. It's not in my top 5. I would never put Oras in my top 5. But it is certainly up there. It's definitely... It's as remakes of my favorite games pretty much of all time, it was hard not to put it at number 7. And of course, while they are flawed games, much like sort of the 3D era, like X and Y, I think that Oras were really, really good remakes of Ruby Sapphire. I have so many hours clocked into that game with shiny hunting, playing through multiple times with friends, and just lots of things. Number 6 is Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. I'm going to hold off from explaining this one because I am still playing through it on stream, and I do want to do an entire episode based around Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, but I think I talked about this when I sort of made the announcement that I was going to start playing it. But, I love this game. I played it so much as a kid with my cousin. I have so many fond memories of this game. Easily one of my favorite Pokemon games of all time. Number 6, in fact, judging by this list. But yeah, I'll go into more detail when I finally make that episode about XD. But just know it deserves that spot. Now, we're getting into the top 5 here, and top 5 is a weird bunch in the beginning. It's just a weird bunch in general. Some people might say that I have bad taste in Pokemon games. I think that's fair for you to make that assumption, mostly because number 5 and number 4 are taken up by 2 of the same game franchises, PokePark 2 and PokePark 1. Listen, okay? The PokePark Pikachu's Adventure games for the Wii are absolutely amazing games, and I will defend this even more so than Pokemon Quest. I had so much fun with these games. Literally, I could not put them in my top 5. They are fantastic, in my opinion. I had so much fun with these games. There was no way that I could feasibly not put them in top 5, and just... I'm going to make a whole episode about these games. There's no way that I'm not. I'm going to replay them on stream at some point, and oh my god. I won't get into it right now because I could gush about these games for so long, but just know that, make no mistake, these 2, number 5 and number 4, are perfect spots for PokePark 1 and 2. Or 2 and 1, respectively. PokePark 2 is number 5, and PokePark 1 is number 4. I did enjoy the first one more than the second one, but even then, they are very, very close. Number 3 is Diamond, Pearl, Platinum. Not too much really to say here. Diamond, Pearl, Platinum for me is kind of the little sister to Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, and I know that they came out earlier, so I guess they would be a little sister, but sort of the same thing as Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, where I played them so much as a kid. They were my 3rd Pokemon games. I have so many fond memories of playing with friends. I had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours clocked into these games. They're just amazing Pokemon games, and having number 3 be Diamond, Pearl, Platinum is a choice that I am fully okay with. Number 2. I have had to explain this one to a lot of people, and I will, again, defend this with my life. Number 2 is Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. And I know what you're saying. A lot of people think that these games are not very good. But in terms of raw enjoyment, I absolutely adored Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. I still play those games to this day. I love those games. I think that they are way better than some people bring them up to be. I have so many fond memories, and if we're going just by pure enjoyment, definitely number 2 spot is deserved. If it wasn't for Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, I would almost put them at number 1. And I mean that. Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee are definitely I would feel extremely confident calling them my 2nd favorite Pokemon games of all time. And that's a decision, like I said, that I will take to my grave. And of course, number 1, Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald. Do I really need to explain anything? If you need me to explain myself about these games, go listen to the Evocast episode titled A Love Letter to Hoenn, and you will know exactly why these games are at my top, the top of this list. The top of my favorite Pokemon games of all time, top ranked sort of by my enjoyment. And with that concludes the list. Those are my favorite Pokemon games. A lot of controversial ones up there. Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, PokePark maybe, Black 2, White 2 being so low. There's a lot of things to discuss more. And you know what? I'm curious to know. Do you agree with any of them? Do you disagree with any of them? Do you agree or disagree with any of the more controversial ones? Do you think Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee are as good as I think they are? Do you think they're absolute hot garbage? Let me know. You can contact me on Twitter. You can message me in my Discord. If you have any comments or anything related to this list that I've made, whether you disagree, whether you'd like to start a civilized argument about what you think is the best Pokemon game, go right ahead. I love talking about Pokemon. Obviously, we wouldn't have 50 episodes of Evocast if I didn't. So let me know what you think about this list. And I will say, you might be noticing a little bit of a lack of some games on here. I mentioned Pokemon Stadium, but they're nowhere to be found. And that's because I haven't played them. I do have a list down here on this Google Doc of games that I have not played, and of course will not be rated, but maybe eventually as I play through these games, which I do plan on doing, going through every one of these games and playing the ones that I haven't played, I will put them on the list somewhere. If you're curious, the list of games that I didn't put on the list because I've never played them are Stadium, Stadium 2, Pokemon Coliseum, the trading card game, Mystery Dungeon Gates to Infinity, all of the rest of the Ranger games, Rumble World, Rumble Rush, Pokemon Snap, Pokemon Puzzle League, Pokemon Channel, Pokemon Conquest, the Detective Pikachu game, Pokemon Dash, Pokemon Troze, and Pokemon Shuffle. Those are the games that are not on this list. Not that I think that they're bad or not that I think that they're good. I just cannot form an opinion on them because I've never played them myself. So yeah, there you go. There is my list of all my favorite games, all my favorite Pokemon games, sort of ranked based on how much I enjoyed them. With that, I think, of course, we have one last segment to talk about. Everybody's favorite segment, where we talk about a random move every episode, and today's move is Bubble. Bubble is a damage-dealing water-type move introduced in Generation 1. This is Move Tutor, by the way. I forgot to say the name of the segment. Damage-dealing water-type move introduced in Generation 1. It is a special move. It's a PP of 30, a power of 40, and an accuracy of 100%. Bubble, in Generation 1, Bubble has a power of 20. Bubble inflicts damage and has a 33.2% chance of lowering the target's speed stat by 1 stage. From Generation 2 to 5, Bubble has a 10% chance of lowering the target's speed stat by 1 stage. In Generations 6 and 7, Bubble's power was changed from 20 to 40, and in horde encounters, it will target all Pokemon. And then in Generation 7, they removed it. Or Generation 8, they removed it. No more Bubble. Bubble is gone. No more Bubbles. Bubbles don't exist anymore. Anything interesting to talk about with Bubble? No trivia. The descriptions, a water-type attack. Has a 1 in 10 chance of reducing the target's speed. A spray of countless bubbles is jetted at the opposing Pokemon. This may also lower their speed stat. That's it. That's whatever. Those two are either of the descriptions for this move. It's Bubble. It's a very iconic water type move. Pretty sure like the first water type move that a lot of Pokemon learn. So, that's exciting. That's a sort of a classic, very classic move in Bubble. And with that, I think that is going to do it for me for today. I hope you all have an amazing day. Thank you so much for listening. Please make sure to tune in next time for the 2-year anniversary of Extreme Evocast. And once again, thank you so much for 50 episodes of support. I appreciate it so, so much. And yeah, thanks for listening. I'll see you next time. Bye.